Coming up on tonight's show, Israel has actually admitted to doing all kinds of heinous things. But is that any reason to accuse them of doing all kinds of heinous things? I don't think so. We'll go through just what they've admitted to and why you should never mention those things. Don't mention them, please. Plus, Americans across America are suffering from uniquely American problems, such as eating cans of dog food for dinner because they can't afford childcare. But one state has an incredible solution. I'll bring you that and so much more right now. Welcome to Unredacted Tonight. I'm the most censored comedian in America, Lee Camp. Surprisingly, there are still arguments as to what exactly Israel is doing in Gaza. Some call it genocide. Others just call it a real estate acquisition. Others don't call it anything because they don't have the spine, the balls, the labia, or conscience to say anything about it. I, on the other hand, have a giant labia. So I thought it would be helpful to go through everything Israel has actually admitted to doing during their genocide in Gaza. This is the stuff that even Israel or the IDF or Netanyahu himself have said. Well, to be honest, I wanted to cover everything Israel has admitted, and then I realized that if I did that, this segment would be longer than Trump's longing for a daddy. Who cares about him? It's not going to happen, Donnie. No matter how many immigrants and late-night hosts you black bag, daddy will never love you. Let's start with admissions about October 7th. If you think the fact that Israel killed a lot of their own people on October 7th is some harebrained conspiracy theory originally put forward by Alex Jones's conspiracy creation app, then you apparently missed the fact that several IDF soldiers have admitted it. This tank commander talks on video about being ordered to fire tank shells at a building filled with innocent Israelis. We played the clip on this show. Does that sound like a good game plan to a sane, functional adult? Jesus, take a hot bath, light some candles, think this shit over. The IDF's own reports, as covered in Israeli media, admit the Air Force fired 11,000 shells, dropped more than 500 one-ton bombs, and launched 180 missiles on that day. And then there's testimony by IDF soldiers where they admit they were ordered to let October 7th happen, essentially stand down between the hours when the breach of the border wall was to take place. Boy, the most high-tech and sophisticated army in the world sure does have their heads wedged up their asses. They just can't seem to figure out what's going on. Oh my God, there's people coming. What happened? In fact, new data shows their heads are wedged to a depth of 70 meters. Oh, or maybe they intended for it to happen. Israel has acknowledged that they knew about the October 7th plan a year in advance. Most people now know that the military assignment to kill everyone on October 7th, including an endless number of innocent Israelis, is called the Hannibal Directive. But remarkably, some people still argue the Hannibal Directive is not true. Unfortunately for that line of delusion, not only have Israeli soldiers admitted it, the head of defense at the time of October 7th has admitted it. That's right, Yoav Gallant, the genocidal maniac and mahjong enthusiast himself, in an interview said of the Hannibal Directive, I think that tactically in some places it was given and in other places it was not given, and that's a problem. He means it's a problem that the order wasn't given enough. We didn't really kill enough of our own people, you know. We'll get better next time. We're thinking of using spreadsheets to really iron out the details. Like I'm really good at genocide, but numbers are just right, you know. I don't think I can't. And Israeli reporting has admitted that Israel killed a lot of its own festival goers, those at the Nova Music Festival, where almost 400 people were murdered, mainly by helicopters. Then there's all the propaganda Israel put out about what Hamas did on October 7th, much of which they've slowly admitted was false. Some people still believe that babies were beheaded on October 7th, yet even the history of the world as told by American liberals, aka Wikipedia, has an entire entry called the Hamas infant beheading hoax. Dude, if Israel is losing the propagandized history on Wikipedia, then they are royally I mean, Wikipedia still says I was born with two heads out of the womb of a Russian Yeti that breathes fire and eats farts. Okay? That's bullshit. That Yeti did not eat farts. And then when it comes to the sexual violence that supposedly happened on October 7th, even an Israeli prosecutor on the case, Moran Gez, has admitted they can't find any sexual violence victims. Quote, and this is not for lack of trying to find victims. We turned to women's rights groups and we asked for cooperation. They told us that they were simply not approached. In other words, no one came forward. This is the same thing that happened to the New York Times, although they ultimately ran their completely debunked piece of crap anyway. The Times extensively canvassed Israeli hospitals, crisis centers, sexual assault hotlines, and other specialized facilities, and could not find a single victim of an October 7th sexual attack. No one had met a victim of sexual assault, said Anat Schwartz, the reporter who did the research for the Times. Talk about tenacity and perseverance. I love it. The New York Times knew there was nothing to the story they were writing. They knew it. There was no evidence, no victims, no testimony, nothing. But they kept at it. And they put out that story anyway. Yes, that is what I call, I was going to say journalism, but that's definitely not journalism. But that's what I call writing a thing. But let's get beyond October 7th. What else has Israel admitted over the past 2 years of genocide? Well, they've admitted they use human shields, for one. Israeli soldiers have revealed the systematic use of Palestinian human shields in Gaza. In case that's not enough for you, the pro-Israel New York Times has also admitted Israel uses human shields. Of course, that's a war crime, but Israel views war crimes like Pokemon cards. You know, they're trying to collect all of them. There's only a few that are eluding them. Israeli soldiers also admitted to stealing over $54 million from a bank in Gaza. And the IDF has boasted about stealing loads of other stuff from Gazan homes. You may look down on that, but what's the point of committing to genocide if you don't get to keep a couple tchotchkes, you know, right? Some keepsakes, little mementos. Come on. But stealing is the least of it. Various Israeli government officials have admitted to ethnic cleansing and forced displacement. Gila Gamliel, the science and technology minister for the current Israeli Likud government, admitted, we will make the Gaza Strip uninhabitable until the population leaves, and the same thing will happen in the West Bank. Well, boy, that's pretty clear. That asshole just came right out. Just everybody else is going, we're only here for the hostages. We're only trying to kill Hamas. It's just an accident that we keep going after all the children. Meanwhile, on the news is the science and technology minister going, yeah, you see, what we're doing is we're obliterating the whole place, and then no one will want to live there anymore. That's the plan. I think it's a pretty good one, honestly. What's that? Hostages? What hostage? But Trump, too, no bullshitting there. He's made clear his plan to empty Gaza and turn it into a casino resort town with no Palestinians. Of course, again, this is the definition of ethnic cleansing. You know, I remember a time when we couldn't speak freely in this country, and yet now the president of the United States can openly speak his mind and call for genocide. That is a beautiful thing, is it not? Like that kind of freedom. You can't find that anywhere except for the swamps of Narnia. That's the only place in America. What's next? As reported on CNN, the IDF has admitted to defiling cemeteries, which is one of the telltale signs of ethnic cleansing because it means the perpetrator is trying to erase the memory of the people from the land. A spokesman for the IDF could not account for the destruction of 16 cemeteries CNN provided coordinates for, but said the military sometimes has no other choice but to target cemeteries. Moving on with the war crimes bingo card, former Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon admitted in an interview that until Hamas leaves Gaza, the people will not get food, water, medical supplies, etc., which is the definition of collective punishment. Another war crime. Wow, they're really admitting some great stuff, aren't they? Let's keep going. Israeli intelligence data. Militants account for only 1 in 4 Gaza detainees. Their own data shows 75% of the thousands of Gazans Israel tortures in their prisons are not militants. And they're fudging that data too. So it's probably far worse than that. They're like, he said Hamas. Add him to the list. He said he's Hamas. He said he wants some hummus. No, he didn't. He said Hamas, please. Meaning he's pleased to be in Hamas. Add him to the list. Next, while it has been Israeli propaganda for decades that Palestinians stopped the two-state solution because they don't want peace, they're animals, get them out of here, they're animals, right? We all saw that shit. Netanyahu just recently admitted he has stopped Palestinian statehood this whole time. He said in Hebrew, there will be no Palestinian state west of the Jordan River. For years, I prevented the establishment of this terror state in the face of tremendous pressures, both domestic and international. Moreover, we doubled the Jewish settlement in Judea and Samaria, and we will continue on this path. Just for good measure there, in the second part of that statement, he admits to mass land theft by the state of Israel. In another interview recently, he admitted that Greater Israel is a goal close to his heart. Greater Israel refers to wiping Palestine off the map, as well as stealing significant portions of other countries. You see, if you actually listen to what these lunatics are saying, they admit it all. It's 2025. Why are we still debating this? It's crazy. Netanyahu agrees with me. I wish he had time to show up every time you were debating this shit with your family, Like, Mom, they're trying to clear out all the Gazans, okay? That's what they're doing. They're not just trying to find hostages. Why can't I get this through to you? You know what? I didn't want to do this. But, Bibi, come on out. Come on out here. And then Netanyahu comes just wandering out, eating some snack he gave him in the closet. Bibi, tell her, are you clearing all the Palestinians out of Gaza? Is that your plan? Yes, that is our plan. Yes, get rid of all of them. That's the plan. Okay, thanks. Yeah, you can head back in there. You see, Mom? I told you. Israel is a genocidal apartheid state. You just heard it from Netanyahu. She's like, well, I don't like calling it that. It's not apartheid, okay? And then Israel Katz, the current Israeli defense minister, wanders out. Go ahead, Israel. You tell her. And he's like, yes, ma'am. It's we're totally an apartheid state. Thanks, Israel. You get back in there, okay? I don't want to see you anymore. Just get the away from me. And don't eat any more of the croissants. It's not a buffet. Israel Katz, by the way, said it's an apartheid state. They are admitting everything. So can we please end this debate? It's over. It's genocide. It's apartheid. It's ethnic cleansing. I'm glad we all agree. Yes, great. It's great. We're all got it ironed out. Perfect. As most of you know, the United States is, without a doubt, the biggest capitalist shit show there is. And I use shit show positively. I love our shit show. It's awesome. Complete instability, never feel comfortable, zero community, can't get a bullet train to save our lives. If you have to go to the doctor, you got to take out a second mortgage on your bicycle, not your house, because no one owns one of those anymore. It's great. It's all great. But 40 types of hard seltzer to choose from, right? So we got that. And pretty much everyone in the U.S. has to work constantly to afford life, unless you're Eric Trump or Jeff Bezos' kids or one of the 33% of Elon Musk's kids that he still cares about. Other than that, we all got to work. But that becomes a problem when you have a child, because it's near impossible to have a child and work at the same time, unless you're in Florida where the kid can be your coworker. It's kind of nice down at the plant, right? Hey, buddy, come on. you know? So most of us need some kind of childcare. 60% of Americans use non-parental childcare. But that shit is expensive. The median cost per child for paid care way back in 2018 was anywhere from 8% to 19.3% of the median household income. 2 in 10 parents who say they need childcare reported in a fall 2022 Center survey that there were times when they didn't have enough money to pay for it. And 22% of Americans who needed childcare roped some relative into taking care of the runs. Sure, that sounds nice at first, a loving grandma devoting her later years to the grandkiddies, but some percentage of that family daycare is not grandma. There's like a weird uncle who served time for some bizarre crime you didn't know existed, like pressing his junk up against a park bench, and he hasn't had a real job in the past 13 years, and his teeth are brown. Why are your teeth brown, Greg? And now he's watching your kids. Yeah. Not always lovely old grandma. Hell, maybe grandma passed away and now it's just grandpa watching the kids. How horrifying is that? He and your 3-year-old eating a quart of Butterfinger ice cream and then passing out on the couch watching Die Hard. That's not going to be good for the kid's long-term development, okay? You're putting in late hours at the firm, but your kid's medulla oblongata mush. And a lot of Americans don't have a relative who can do even a shit job of watching the kids. So a lot of us have to make a choice. Listen, everybody, we're a family here, okay? We care about each other. So we're taking a vote. Would you rather put the new kid in childcare or would you rather eat on Tuesdays? Those are the options. We can cut out Tuesdays for eating, and then we'll be able to afford getting rid of the kid for most of the week. What do you think? But here's the thing. The solution to this aspect of our cluster is actually out there. New Mexico is showing us the way. And it's a crazy solution, okay? This bonkers. Here's what they're doing. They just gave everyone childcare. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? They just gave everyone childcare. It's like when that infomercial guy came up with the blanket with sleeves and we were all like, why did I come up with sleeves? Yeah, it's like, this is like that. I should have thought of that. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham announced that New Mexico will become the first state in the nation to offer universal child care to families as of November 1st. The state estimates that families will save, on average, $12,000 per year. Families who receive child care assistance report greater financial stability, more time to focus on their children, and the ability to choose higher quality care settings. On top of that, there's an increase in the mother's ability to work if she so chooses, which means a higher income for the household, or the father's ability, depending on who watches the kids during the day. Point is, New Mexico has the answer to how hard it is for parents to get by. Imagine if you have 2 or 3 kids in daycare. That's a savings of around $36,000 a year. Man, I wonder what kind of genius scientists New Mexico had working on developing this solution. They must have had the nation's greatest minds working 24/7 to figure this shit out. Just what if the state paid for childcare? When they hit on that zinger, it must have been like they split the atom for the first time. We did it! We really did it! Yeah, bitches! Yeah! What if the state paid for it? And call me crazy, but the next step might be for other states to look at that insane solution and go, well, they're doing it. What if we did it? What if we had awesome free child care for the people who need it? Doesn't matter who you are, what you do, it's just our society helping people get by. What if we did that? Where's everyone going? And then the other guy in that state office goes, I feel like a lot of the people using that free childcare service would probably be like poor. Gross. Yeah, that's gross. That's pretty gross. It means a lot of the kids in the program would be poor kids. Wearing old reject sweaters of Super Bowl teams that never won the Super Bowl and wearing like rain boots on sunny days because it's the only shoes they have. This is disgusting. I think I'm going to throw up if you give me a minute. And now, here are your headlines from the future. Coming up in 4 days, we'll learn in shocking White House speech, RFK Jr. announces most autism nationwide caused by him. I can see that. I feel a little autistic after I watch him speak. Yeah. And in November, we'll find out Trump sends National Guard across the country to stomp really hard on all community gardens. I mean, gardens are Marxist, so it makes sense. Coming up in just 2 weeks, we'll find out Chicago man spends $700 to attend NFL game to forget his financial troubles. Good for you, man. Why not sell some blood plasma to get the front row at the Springsteen concert to really forget your financial troubles? Huh? That's the show. There's a new one every Thursday night. Put it on your calendar. Also, get a free month when you support this show by joining up at leecamp.net. You'll also get my newest ebook for free and exclusive segments. Just go to leecamp.net, scroll down to become a supporter. And when you go to checkout, use promo code LeeCampFree. One word, all caps, LeeCampFree, one word. Honestly, it's the only way this show is going to keep going, is if you guys, take $6 a month and help us keep going. See you next Thursday. The revolution will have laughter. Keep fighting.